Listen up, folks, because we're talking about something the left desperately wants to erase: the beautiful, irreplaceable reality of womanhood. They'll tell you gender is just a costume that you can swap out, that biological sex doesn't matter, that women's spaces and opportunities are up for grabs. But here's the truth that they can't stand. Women are extraordinary because they're women, not despite it. Not as some social construct, but as a biological reality that deserves protection, celebration, and respect. We're living in an era where female athletes who have trained their entire lives are being told to shut up and share their podiums, their scholarships, their locker rooms with biological males. Where motherhood, the most fundamental and powerful force in human civilization, is being dismissed as just another lifestyle choice, and where the very words woman and mother are becoming taboo in the name of inclusivity. But some women aren't backing down. They're standing up for their daughters, their sports, their spaces, and their sacred role as the backbone of family and society. Women who know that protecting female opportunities isn't hate, it's love. Love for the next generation of girls who deserve their own chance to shine. And nobody embodies that courage better than today's guest: Olympic gymnast, devoted wife and mother, and fearless advocate for women's rights, the real women's rights. MyKayla Skinner is here to talk about what it really means to be a woman in America today. So let's dive in. MyKayla Skinner, welcome to the Terry Schilling Show.
Hey, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I don't get to talk to Olympic athletes every single day. You might be like one of the very fewer than five probably my entire life. So tell the audience a little bit about your experience as an athlete, getting to the Olympics. It's got to just take so much dedication.
Yeah, so much. It's a crazy ride for sure. I have been so blessed with all the opportunities that I've had. I mean, I didn't really get much of a childhood. I grew up in Gilbert, Arizona, and that was where I trained in Chandler at Desert Lights Gymnastics. And I mean, at 12 years old, I started training 7 hours a week or 7 hours a day, 42 hours a week. So it was a
Oh my
busy schedule.
gosh.
I didn't really have much time to be a kid. It was my life at such a young age. And, we learned a lot about hard work, discipline, and the Olympics was always my dream as a little girl, but never thought I would get there. My coaches thought I had a lot of talent. They saw it in me and they told my mom she's going to go to the Olympics one day. And my mom was like, no, that's like one in a million, like she was like, no way, that's not gonna happen. So it was just kind of crazy when at 12 years old I switched gyms. I was at my family friend gym and they said, hey, you need to switch her over to a better gym. We can't take her further. And my mom finally made the push and took me over to Desert Lights. In my first week there, they were like, hey, we want to put her into the elite program, which is the Olympic route. And so I just ran with it. In my first year at Desert Lights, I skipped to elite really, really fast. I was a level 8 gymnast. And my first year there, I went one meet level 9, went level 10, which is like the highest in the JO program,
Wow.
made junior nationals. And there I placed first on vault. And then I made junior international elite all in 1 year, which is so crazy. I don't think anyone's ever done that before, but yeah, it's just a crazy world. I went to many national team training camps, trained with Team USA and past Olympians and followed in their footsteps. It was literally a dream come true. I competed at many world championships, which is a big deal. Even if you don't make the Olympics, like it's amazing just to make it that far in your career. And I was able to go to 3 world championships, and I was an alternate in the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. And it was so devastating because I was so close to making the team. I placed 4th at Olympic trials, and they were placed 4th and 5th with 7th and 8th. So I became first alternate. So it was a really um, hard time for me. And being an alternate, it's hard, and you got to be up to par. You have to, do the same amount of training as the Olympic team when you're out there and you're pushing for it, because in case someone gets hurt, you just got to be ready to go in. And it took a toll on me for sure. And once I got back from Rio, I was like, you know what? I am ready to move on from the Olympics. I achieved so much in my elite career, but I want to go pursue my I want to go pursue my college dream at the University of Utah. And I attended their gymnastics team for 3 years. And I remember my freshman year, I was like, I don't want to go back to the Olympics. This is where I'm supposed to be. I had so much fun, the sisterhood, the bond that we had. Like, there was no greater feeling than having like your sisters cheering you on the sidelines and, hopefully trying to win that national championship title. But it was crazy. I kind of had that, burning desire feeling like when I was sitting in the stands watching the Olympic team back in 2016. I was like, man, like I really want to be out there. I was so close and I think I want to give this one more shot. So I decided to defer my senior year of college and go back to Arizona to train for the 2020 Olympics. And it was crazy. I came back within 3 months, and which is really hard to go from college back to elite just because the skill level is so different. And I ended up making the national team that year. And then I went to world selection camp, which I wasn't even planning on because my main goal was like, okay, I just need to prepare and get ready. I have barely a year to get ready for the Olympic team. And the Olympic coach was like, hey, come to world selection camp. Like, just get some more meets under your belt. Like, it'll be really good for you. So I was like, okay. Didn't feel like I was ready. But at world selection camp, I placed fourth in the all around. They took six. So it's five in an alternate. And it was crazy because the day before Worlds, it was prelims day. The day before, the Olympic coach Tom came up to me and said, hey, we're going to make you the alternate. And like all those memories just, started rushing back in. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm alternate again. And I was alternate in 2015 Worlds and then alternate 2016 Olympics and then alternate in 2015 Worlds. So it was really hard, but at the same time I was like, you know what? Like I just want to be here to support my team. I am so grateful I get to be here. This wasn't my plan. And it was really, really fun. And I just made the best of it and was like, you know what? Like I'm going to go home and this is going to help me to work even harder to make sure that I'm not alternate for that Olympic team. And sorry, am I going too
No,
long or
no,
is
no, no.
okay?
You're doing
All
great.
right.
I'm dug in. This is fantastic.
Okay, sorry. There's like I mean, obviously there's so much, so just trying to break it down. But so yeah, I got back home from World Selection Camp and things were going really good. I did an international assignment in Canada and it was getting closer to like getting into, Olympic trials. And then of course COVID hits, right? So we're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Like, are we going to have the Olympics? And it was just a difficult time for everybody, like a lot of gyms couldn't train. And it was just so sad. I was like, what am I supposed to do? Do I need to go back to college and just do that? Or do I push it out for another year? Because they, officially came out and said, hey, we're going to have the Olympics. It's just going to be postponed for a year. So there's a lot of decisions that needed to be made. And I was like, you know what? Like, I've come so far and I really want to give it one more shot and have no regrets. And I kept pushing through it. And in Arizona, we didn't we I could still train. So we got the mayor in Arizona, said that we could go into the gym as long as I was by myself and with my coaches, I could keep training. So all through COVID, I was still in the gym training and I was like, okay, this is kind of awesome because now this gives me more time to like work on things that I thought I wasn't going to be able to have in time for the Olympics and really could just dial in. And it was really hard being in the gym by myself and I don't know how I pushed through it. I mean, my family was really there to support me every step of the way because it was really hard being in there by myself, knowing like the rest of the world is like completely shut down. Other girls aren't training. But I was just like, okay, we just got to keep going, got to keep going. And during that process, I had a injury. So in my whole gymnastics career, I've never had a broken bone or a surgery, which is so
That's a
crazy in the
feat. Yeah, that's
gymnastics world
impressive.
because yeah, you've had, multiple surgeries and I've never really had much time off from gymnastics, like maybe a week, just taking a break and, going on a vacation or something. And this was like crazy because it was my Achilles tendon was really bugging me. And so we were really worried. And so my coach was like, okay, let's take a week off. Like we'll just do like bars and we'll take some time off of pounding. So I was like, okay, sounds good. And then a week goes by and I'm like, okay, let's start trying stuff again. And it was really hurting me. And we ended up going and getting an MRI and I ended up having like a really big bone spur on the back of my heel that was rubbing into the Achilles tendon. And so we're like, okay, at this point, we're kind of getting closer to Olympic trials. We were like probably 4 or 5 months away. And they were like, so should we do surgery? Should we not? I decided not to do the surgery because they said, your body's pretty used to it. It was just how your bone grew. Let's just help the inflammation and try to get it really strong to where it needs to be. And so we did shockwave therapy, we did PRP injection, tons of therapy, super painful. And I was able to like get my foot really strong again. And about after a few weeks, I went into the gym, finally started to tumble, was feeling really good. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Like it was just a little setback. And my first week back in the gym, I ended up getting COVID,
Oh my
and I
gosh.
was really sick with COVID. It really hit me hard. I was sick for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I was really struggling. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to come back from this. I don't think I'm gonna be ready in time. And, I prayed a lot about it. I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Do I keep going at this point? And I felt like this was my journey and that I needed to keep, pushing forward and that anything is possible. I mean, when I decided to come back to the Olympics, a lot of people doubted me and said, oh, you're not good enough. Like, just stay in college gymnastics. Like, that's what you're good at. And I was like, no, like, I want to prove these people wrong. I can do it. So I just changed my mindset, changed my attitude, and I like went back into the gym. And it was crazy because my husband was traveling for work from time to time during this point. And I like went up to him the day before he left and I said, honey, I'm not feeling good. Like I don't know what's wrong. I'm feeling really sick again. He's like, it's fine. Like your body's been through a lot. You're just really weak. You just, you got to start slow. Just get back into the gym and just do the best you can. And I went over to my mom's house the next day before I went to practice and I just broke down crying because I was just really not feeling well. So she calls my coach Bob and was like, hey, this is what's going on. And Bob was like, just send her in. Like she can do this. Like she's done it before. Like, she's a strong competitor. We love MyKayla. We know she can do this. And so I was like, okay, like, Bob believes in me. I got this. So I show up at the gym and they start checking my temperature. And I had a really high fever. And Bob was like, I'm sorry. Like, you need to go home. Like, it's okay, MyKayla. Like, you're going to come back stronger than ever. And so I walk out of the gym and I call my sister and I'm just bawling and I'm telling her like all my symptoms. And she's like, MyKayla, I think you have pneumonia. You need to go to the hospital. So I drive to my parents' house. They take me to the hospital. And then I had pneumonia and had to be out for another 10 days before I could even start training. And I really wanted to give up at this point. And seriously, like there's nothing greater than family, the love and support from my coaches, my family, my teammates, my husband, and just, having a really close relationship with God really, really
Yeah.
helped me through this tough time. And I just went into that gym and every time I opened that door, I just had a positive attitude. I said, I may not have a lot of successes today, but I got to start somewhere. And I know I can do this. And I worked really, really hard. And by the time we got to classics, our first meet, I did okay. Then we had championships. And at championships is where you make the Olympic trials team. And so they take like 12 to 15 girls for the Olympic trials team. And so I was like, okay, I got to make, at least top 10 for sure. And so we go to championships and it's a 2-day competition. I got like seventh in the all around. And so I was like, okay, if I'm going to make this Olympic team, I gotta place, at least in the top 4 because the 2020 Olympics, it was a 4-man team, 2 event specialists, which was crazy because the last Olympics was a 5-man team. And then this current Olympics in Paris was also a 5-man team. So they switched it back. They wanted to give an opportunity for more individual athletes from other countries to be able to go and compete in the Olympics. So they added the 2 event specialist spot. And when I first came back, I asked Tom, the Olympic coach, I said, hey, is there any way, like, can I just, come for the event specialist spot and I specialize in floor and vault. So I was like, can I just go for those 2 events? And he's like, well, we already have Jade Carey going for floor and vault. And that next spot, we really want someone for bars and beams. So we want you to come back for all around. So I said, okay, I can do it. And I trained really hard to get all 4 events back. And we get to Olympic trials. And day 1, I had placed 4th in the all around. And day 2, I placed 5th by half a tenth. And so because of 2016 Olympics, there was a lot of politics involved. and they wanted it to be fair. So they took it rank order. They didn't take it rank order in 2016. And so Tom wanted to make things fair and make it rank order. So I was like, okay, I'm in fifth. I'm probably going to be the alternate again because Jade had locked in that individual spot. So she was locked in. She got it for floor and vault. And I was like, they're going to take someone for bars and beam. And so when we were in that little waiting room, waiting for the Olympic and national team committee to, decide who the team was, I was like feeling all the emotions, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm going to be an alternate. And the team comes out, Tom comes out, and he starts listing the Olympic team, and he takes rank order, and then he says, MyKayla Skinner and Jade Carey, event specialists. And I was like, for real? Like, what? Like, is this really happening? And, my coach came up to me and she says, it's okay, we didn't make the team, but now you get to go and do this for you, and you have worked so hard for this moment. And I was like, you're right. So after Olympic trials, I get back home. We have about a week or so till we leave for the Olympics. And I worked really hard. And I was kind of devastated because I was like, you told me you wanted me for team, and I worked so hard to do all four. And now I'm going as an event specialist. And so it was just like really weird to like really get my mindset right to be an event specialist. And, when you're not part of the Olympic team portion, you're like, oh, like, Team USA, usually we dominate. And so it's like, oh, like I could have had a chance to win an Olympic medal. And so it's kind of sad thinking like you're not a part of that. And, it's just kind of like me and Jade on our own in a way. And anyway, we get to the Olympics, and the first competition is prelims, which qualifies you into everything. So it's like a lot of pressure. It's super intense, and it qualifies you in for individual events, for team all around and individual all around. So our first event was floor, and I go up and I nail my routine. Best routine all year. I kind of was struggling on floor just because of my bone spur. It just was more painful, and I really just was struggling with floor. And at the Olympics, I crushed it. I was so excited. I knew that I probably wasn't going to make floor finals because my difficulty wasn't quite as high as Simone and Jade's, but the scores came up and Simone and Jade made it in. And I was like, okay, that's okay. Like, I can do this. We're going to vault next. That's my best event. I've been doing really good. And we get to vault, and because we're the event specialist, the Olympic team gets to go first, and then the two event specialists have to go after them. So Simone had already gone, and then it was me and then Jade. And I just had put so much pressure on myself. I was really getting into my head because I was like, if I'm going to make vault finals, I have to nail these vaults. And I went up on vault and I hit my vaults, but they just weren't as good as they'd been. And then Jade goes up and just crushes her vaults. They were so good, perfect. And I remember the scores came up, and it's kind of crazy because I don't know if you know, but in the Olympics, there's a 2 per country rule. And so only the top 2 per country out of the top 8 can make it in for finals. And so I was just so devastated. I started crying, and I was getting so emotional, and I was like, what is happening? Like, I'm just, I just need to remember that I'm so grateful that I get to be here and that I got to be at the Olympics. Like, majority of Olympians don't get to walk away with medals. And I'm like, that's, like, how cool would that be? But like, I'm still just so grateful I get to be here. And I was like talking to my coach, Lisa, and I was just bawling. And I was like, I can't finish the meet. I don't know if I can do this. And she just had to remind me, like, anything can happen. Anything is possible. You just got to finish and be as strong as you can be. And I was like, okay, like, I can do this. I can do this. So I changed my mindset, and I wanted to be positive for my team. I didn't want to like bring any negativity. And we head over to bars, and bars and beam just aren't my strongest events. And I just went up there, and I just felt so confident and just so relaxed, and went up, hit the best bar routine. And then I was last up out of the whole competition to go on beam. And I was so sick to my stomach.
The pressure had to have been mounting if you were the last.
It was horrible. And there's no one in the stands because our friends and family couldn't go. And so it was just like a weird vibe. I do really well under pressure. And so like that also played a lot into it too, like not having anybody in there. And it was just like dead silent, like you're just having a normal practice. And it was just so silent before I went up, and all the gymnasts were done. So like all the eyes were on me. And again, I just kind of felt like this peace, and I felt like God was with me, and I just felt like I can do this. And so I got up, nailed my beam routine. All the girls were screaming and cheering, and it was like literally the best Olympic experience I could have ever asked for. Like, yeah, I didn't make it in for floor and vault finals. And I was like, yeah, this sucks, but you know what? Like, I came here, I did it. I got to have my Olympic dreams come true, and it was incredible. It was amazing. I felt so good inside. And anyway, we got back to the room, and I obviously was crying because I was like, I knew I was retiring after the Olympics. I wasn't going to go back and finish my senior year doing gymnastics at the U just because I was older. I was 24 in the Olympics, which is old
Hmm.
for
Yeah, that is
gymnastics.
old for the Olympics. That's right.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm done after this. And so I was just, all the emotions started to hit and to set, they just were setting in. And um, I got down on my knees and I just prayed and I just said, like, why does this have to happen again? Like, I just was really hoping I could do more at the Olympic Games. And I was just, so upset. And I'm like, why am I upset? Like, I did so well. Like, there's so much to be proud of. And anyway, after my prayer, I had this little voice come over me that said, it's not over yet. And I was like, what do you mean it's not over? Like, it's over. I'm done. Like, I didn't make it. And we had talked to the Olympic coach, and he said that we could fly home. And I decided to stay for team finals. I wanted to watch the girls compete. And so I had my bags packed. Everything was ready to go. I was going to leave after team finals. And it was crazy because I was telling my family, like, hey, I'm coming home, and I was so excited to see my family. And my mom was like, hey, like, I think you should just stay. Like, I don't think you should fly home. I'm like, no, like, it's fine. Like, everything's fine. And my mom's just like, no, I just have this feeling like, you should stay. So it was kind of weird. And then we're watching team finals. The first event was vault, and Simone goes and she gets the twisties. And so we're like, what the heck? Like, me and Jade were sitting there and we're like, what just happened? Like, did this really just happen? And so we went over into the gymnastics lounge, and we were just talking, and Jade was like, so does this mean I'm gonna have to go in for all around? And then I was like, does this mean I'm like gonna go in for vault? And then my coach Lisa texts and says, hey, can you come back up into the stands? And the team and the staff is like, hey, MyKayla, we want you to stay, and we're gonna change your flight. You're staying. And so I got back to my room that night, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'm going to be competing in vault finals possibly, and there were still 2 days before vault finals, but um, it was crazy because I got to train, and Simone had officially decided that she wasn't going to go and do vault. And so she told me, hey, like, you're going in. This is your opportunity to go in. And it was just like, God was watching over me the whole time. Like, that little voice that said it's not over yet. Like, he knew it wasn't over yet. And I had 2 days to train. So I had to like get my mindset back into the game. Cause once I was done, I was like, oh, I was eating pasta and all the dessert. And I was just like really enjoying myself. And all the other girls were like still focused and had things to compete. And so it was like a little difficult to like reset my mind, because then I was like staying up late and I was just ready to come home. And so it was kind of it was a crazy 2 days. And then vault finals came, and I was first up on vault, and it was so nerve-wracking out of the 8, because I had to sit there and watch every single score come up, and I was like, this is crazy. And I was in first for a long time, and then Rebecca went from Brazil, and she ended up passing me. And then there was a few more girls to go, and then after the last person went and the scores came up, I locked in the silver medal and ended up taking home a silver medal. And it was just like, I was not even expecting this. It was like a crazy 2-day world event. Like, it was just like, what? Like, how did this happen? And I ended up taking home silver. Like, I was like, maybe I'll get bronze. I don't know. Like, so it was seriously so cool. And I just remember standing on that podium, and I couldn't cry because I was like, I'm just so tired of crying. I was just so excited that I was even up there with a silver medal around my neck. And all the things that were going through my head was, I don't even care about this medal. Like, it was so important to me to remember that it was all the hard work, all the dedication, like, missing out on family events and activities, and, all the hard work that my family put in, and my coaches, and, just being able to push through COVID, and just having that opportunity to compete one last time, and just showing the world that anything is possible and to never give up. And that's been like one of the biggest things for me and throughout my career is just reminding so many young girls all over the world to never give up, to keep chasing your dreams. And I'm so glad that after all the obstacles, all the trials I went through, all the politics, that I kept going, I kept pushing through it, and I didn't let anybody tell me no. And I was like, I'm gonna go for this. And even if I didn't make the Olympic team, like, there's still so much more to life. Like, now, like being a mom, and I got my degree, and I just feel like, gymnastics is such a hard sport. And I feel like all we ever think about is like, oh, gymnastics is my whole life. But it's like once you're done, like even if you don't make the Olympics, if you do make the Olympics, if you do go to college and you're an NCAA athlete, like it's amazing and you'll have the greatest experiences of your life. But it's seriously such a short period in your life that it's like it feels like forever, and then in a split second
It's done.
it's done. Like all this hard work to the Olympics, and then you're on that podium, and then the next day you're like, oh, it's done. Like that's it. So it's just crazy. And I'm just so grateful for all the opportunities, but I love having that medal. But like the most important thing to me, and that's even more rewarding than an Olympic medal, is being able to be a mom. And there's no greater accomplishment than pushing that.
What a thing to say. Okay,
Yeah,
so I want to unpack this because that's a fantastic story, and I didn't want to interrupt you because you were just on an absolute
that's
roll,
okay.
and
You're good.
I was just totally mesmerized. So the thing, okay, you have this insane story about an incredible level of dedication and persistence and overcoming adversity. And by the way, every major, great person or someone anyone that's accomplished anything amazing or incredible, they always have similar stories like this where they have major setbacks or they have shortfalls, right? Like Michael Jordan got cut from his freshman basketball team. Tom Brady was picked in the sixth round for the NFL. But it's like those moments of adversity are always what sets them off. And it's the willingness to persist and overcome that. But the other thing that I think you all have in common is that you have strong families. Michael Jordan's written a lot about how impactful his mother and father were. Tom Brady obviously talks a lot about how impactful his parents were. But you mentioned several times throughout your story how your mom was there for you, how your parents were there for you, your husband, your sister, your teammates. Like you have, I will just say, I think that you have to have the willingness to overcome adversity. You have to be tenacious and you have to be persistent. But I don't think we get that without a strong family in our lives.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even just having a good support system at home, like my mom never forced me to do gymnastics. Like, yeah, she had to carry me through the tough days. Like, there were so many days where I'd call her crying and I want to quit, come pick me up, I'm done. And, she's like, no, like, you can't give up, you got to keep going. But she's always like, if you don't want to do this anymore, like, you don't have to do it. And I was just so grateful for that because I know how, sometimes it can be intense in the household and it can really, put a lot of pressure on you. And I'm like, as a high level athlete, we already put so much pressure on ourselves. And the only way that I could get through it is, to have my family standing by my side, supporting me, believing in me, telling me that I can do this. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for them. Like every step of the way, like even through the Olympics, like I don't think I would have been able to get through it without them, without God in my life, having faith. And it plays a huge role in my life for sure. I couldn't imagine my life without it.
Well, you, again, I just want to go back. You've been so courageous. I want to get into the whole fight over women's sports. This has been something that has really been heating up lately. And President Trump made this a key part of his campaign. It's now been an incredibly important part of his administration. And he's signed several executive orders protecting women and their private spaces and opportunities. And obviously, he's protecting women's sports. But huge news just this week is the IOC is now going to be, basically kicking out men and not allowing them to compete in girls' sports. And it's largely because of President Trump's executive orders and what his administration has been doing. But we wouldn't be here today without athletes like you and Riley Gaines and Paula Scanlon, who were willing to speak up and to be courageous and put it on the line. Was there something that pushed you over the edge that made you want to step into the arena on this and be vocal in supporting women's sports, or did you just feel it was natural?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary I mean, being in the public eye, it's really scary. I mean, I've been a huge fan of Riley for a long time. And I remember, her team had reached out to us a while ago and asked if we wanted to stand by her and what she was doing. And I was like to my husband, like, I would love to, but I was too scared. I was too scared of the criticism, getting bullied, and I didn't want to be a part of that, which is so sad because I'm like, this is something that I believe in. This is something I'm passionate about. This is something I could have a voice in. And I've just been through a lot in my career. And so I was like, this is not the time. And I just thought a lot more about it, especially since it's gotten worse. And now having a daughter, and we do a mommy and me gymnastics class, I was just like, I want her to grow up with things being fair and the way that it should be, like how I grew up. And I want her to have all the opportunities to succeed. And so, another part that played into it was, Simone, and her statement towards Riley.
That was
And
insane. That like I saw that statement and it was actually shocking to me, right? Because obviously men are men and women are women, and female athletes know that better than anyone. So do you think that was like political pressure? Do you think that she's just maybe leanings more liberal or progressive and she just really felt that way? Or I don't know. It was shocking to me because
yeah,
she's such a big name.
yeah, it made me sad for sure. And I had gone through my thing last year, with Simone and during the Olympics, and my mental health was at an all-time low. And I finally, a year from now, I'm like, now that this had happened, I was like, I'm gonna stand up. I have a voice, and this is not okay. And you know what? I'm like, I've gone through so much, and at this point, like, I don't care anymore. Like, Riley has been a huge role model and example in my life, and watching everything that she's been through and how hard she's fought for us women has been incredible. And I just want to follow in her footsteps, and she's given me the courage to be able to stand up and to speak out. And yeah, it was really tough. It was really scary, but I'm like, enough is enough. And us athletes, like, we have these platforms, and I want to use my platform for good. And there's so many young girls over the world that I want to grow up, that I want them to grow up and just be able to go and live their dreams. And I want it to be fair, like, that's the
Hmm.
most important part. And I want them to have success and be able to live their dreams like I did. So yeah, I don't know.
Well,
It was really crazy, and I still can't wrap my head around it to this day. So
MyKayla, one thing there's a huge contrast between you and Simone, obviously, but not just on this issue, but I think you can tell a lot about truth by how willing or how strong people's convictions are around this, right? So like, I've noticed that you have, like, when you started speaking up, and standing out and stepping in the public fray, you got significant online pushback, but that didn't deter you. It almost seems like it pushed you further. Whereas then when Simone started that war with Riley, she gets one clapback and starts to get a little bit of pushback, and she deletes her X account. Right? I think that I'm not making any observations besides, like, I know that the things that I really believe in life, I'm willing to die for. Like, if it's the truth, if it's reality, I'm not going to lie for it, right? Over it. And I'm definitely not going to delete my X account or remove myself from online. Like, I'm willing to speak the truth, and you are too. I just, it's an observation I'm making because I honestly think that if her convictions were that strong, if she really did believe that men could become women and that they should be able to compete against women in sports, I don't think she would have deleted her X account.
yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I mean, even with everything that's gone on, like, it's given me the drive, it's given me the push to want to stand up and, again, stand for what I believe in. Um And because of all this, like, I want to go do public speaking. I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk about my journey. I want to talk about cyberbullying, bullying, and women's rights in sports. It's just a crazy world, and I'm so sad that we have to live in a world like this. I feel like, we shouldn't have to. Everything shouldn't be political. Everything shouldn't be the way that it is. But we're here. We're living in it, and that's why I think it's amazing that we do have people like Riley that are able to stand up and fight for us. And yeah, I it's
Well,
just
I'll
it's
tell
so
you,
hard.
I
I don't
find the
know.
whole debate around women's sports, like, I love it because I'm right and everyone knows we're right. They're just stubborn or they're ideological or brainwashed or whatever. But like, there are just some things that we really shouldn't waste time debating. I really don't think it's up for debate whether or not a
Yeah.
man can become a woman or vice versa. It's just not possible. Humans have been, billions of humans have existed for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And we just know, like, there's a biological sex. It really matters a lot, especially in terms of like keeping the human race going. I want to get into motherhood though, because you've said this just on this interview, but you also, I had in my notes that you did an interview for Deseret News, and the interview asked you about how, like, where your medal was hung, and you said something along the lines of like, yeah, it's in some drawer somewhere, and this really doesn't compare to anything like being a mom. And you said that earlier, and I find that to be such a beautiful and wonderful statement. It's obviously true. It's obviously the most important thing you're going to do. Like, these children are blessings from the Lord. Even if you don't believe in God, they're still blessings. They're human beings that have infinite value. Like, I have 7 kids. Don't freak out about that. But like,
That's
it's
awesome.
like each one of my kids is not just a kid. They're someone's future spouse. There's someone's future parent. There's someone's future teacher or doctor. Like, we all go on to impact the world in infinite ways that we can't even really know how much of an impact we've had on the world, for better or worse. And you just said it so beautifully. Like, this Olympic medal, which, by the way, it's like, there's been billions and billions of human beings to ever exist, and you're probably like in the top 0.1%, whatever percent that's gotten one, and you're still like, nah, being a mom's the best.
Yeah, no, it seriously is the best. And like even just going through everything in my career, like it has taught me so much. Gymnastics, it's my life. I would love for my daughter to do it, and if she doesn't, like that's great too. I'd love for her to try anything and everything and do what she loves, but even just going through like what I went through last year and everything with my mental health, like I just want to be able to show her and guide her through her life that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. And it's like in gymnastics, like I would have never been the gymnast that I was if I didn't fail, if I didn't, hit every routine. Like we're not perfect. And I think that's the beautiful thing in life is we're given these talents, and with these talents we can use them for good and help other people in the world go through things in life. And that's one thing that I love about telling my stories. It's like, yeah, like you may not be a gymnast, but you go through similar things throughout your career, throughout your path. And the way that we can handle those situations and persevere and push through them can lead us to greatness in life and by never giving up. And that's just the example I want to set for my daughter growing up. And, my whole family were super athletic. We've all been athletes. So I don't know if my daughter will be the same, but I love sports. I love what it teaches us and what we can learn from it. And even, going to school and getting your degree, like, yeah, it's hard because I never thought I'd go to college and get a degree, but I'm glad that I have one and that I can use it. And to remind girls that, like, yeah, it is important to get your degree because you never know when you're going to need it in life. But yeah, being a mom, I just remember when I first got to hold my daughter, like, there's nothing greater. There's nothing like, I just like it, I don't even care about the Olympic medal. It feels like almost like it's just like I love being a mom. I love, being able to show her right from wrong and to be able to like set that example and try to be a good example. Like it's crazy how fast they learn things. And just even saying how pretty she is, or just being really positive to remind her that like you are pretty, you are worth it, you are amazing. And just those little milestones to help her throughout life, because it's really hard. Like I remember so many times where I was so down on myself. And um obviously last year was the worst thing I ever went through with my mental health. But again, like going back to family, I couldn't take care of my daughter at the time. It was really hard, but they're the ones that picked me up, and she was the reason that I had to keep fighting and keep pushing to stand up for what I believe in, to fight for her rights in life. And I'm so grateful for her and the power of family. It's truly been a blessing. And yeah, there's nothing greater than motherhood. It's the hardest thing you will ever do, and you'll never understand till you go through it.
That's right.
And yeah, I thought the Olympics was the hardest thing I'd ever go through, and being a mom is, 1,000 times harder than that. So
Well,
yeah,
it is, but it's, as you said, it's 1,000 times more rewarding, right? You said it best. Like, you really can't describe it. There aren't words for what it means when you first become a parent, when you are first holding that little like 6 pound nothing, 22 inches. Like, you just can't even describe it. And there's like this whole generation of Americans now who are like, I don't need to get married, which is absolutely more crazy
crazy.
than
Yeah.
not having. So it's like 40% of Gen Zers say they'll never get married, 43% say they never have children. And the thing that drives me nuts, like, I get not wanting to have children. They are stressful. They are a lot of work, right? Like, I can understand that. I have 7 kids. I can come up with a million reasons not to have children, but not having a life partner that has your back through thick and thin, that is like there in your corner, defending you and fighting for you every chance they get, that's totally insane. It's totally disordered. We really need to change the broader parts of the culture. And honestly, I'll go a step further. I think we need to start shaming people that attack marriage. That say that marriage isn't important, that you don't need to get married in order to have a more full life. Like, it's kind of true. You don't necessarily need it, but it's so much better. Like
Yeah.
choosing not to get married is like choosing to be poor, choosing to be homeless. Like, why would you choose not to have a partner for your entire life that loves you unconditionally and that you get to learn how to love unconditionally and sacrifice for? Like, it's a huge missing piece in America. It's a major blind spot for the future. And so I've been telling everyone I can, like, we've got to fix this marriage problem, because if we don't, it's very dark times ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, and yeah, growing up Christian, like, kind of like what I said before, like, just, I just kind of knew, like, you know, get married, have children, and my all my siblings got married super young. I have 12 nieces and nephews. My daughter makes number 13. My brother has 6,
Oh, I
and
love
my other
that.
sister has 4. My other sister has 2. So I get it, and yeah, I mean, even just being a little girl, like, there's no greater feeling than my mom and my dad. Like, I love them. I still call my mom 50 times a day because I'm still learning, I'm still growing. There's still things I struggle with,
Yep.
even though I'm a mom myself. And yeah, when people all the time say, "No, I didn't I just couldn't have kids because my career," and I totally get it. Like, if you have to work and you have to support and provide for yourself, I totally get it. But until you have your own kid, it hits different. And I
Yep.
get people sometimes don't like kids, they don't like other people's kids. I totally get it. But there's just nothing like having your own child and being able to protect them, provide for them, teach them, and the growth and the things that you learn from it are just, it's incredible. And yeah, marriage is hard. It's not easy, like, I got married right before COVID, and I was going through all my struggles, and yeah, we fight sometimes, and that's okay, that's normal. But if anything, like, I I wouldn't have been able to do those last 2 years of my career without my husband.
Right.
I wouldn't have been able to do it. And he was my rock. He was my leader. He guided me through it, and I'm so grateful for him. I really don't know how I would have done it without him. And yeah, there is no greater feeling than your husband sitting there rooting for you. And it was really hard not having him at the Olympics to cheer me on in the stands. But if anything, I knew he was right there sitting on his computer rooting for me. And yeah, marriage is an incredible thing. Having kids is incredible. And I think that more people definitely need to lean into it and think about it, because it's something that you definitely need. So
Yes. All right.
yeah.
So we're about out of time, but I'd like to ask you two kind of fun questions. You're an Olympic athlete. I've read all about these crazy meals that Michael Phelps would eat, to game up. What is your go-to McDonald's order?
Oh, McDonald's. Well, it's hard because I haven't had McDonald's in a long time.
All right. What's your
But
go-to, like when you're craving something that's maybe not that healthy? What are you going for?
I mean, I love In and Out. I love
Yes.
good burger and fries.
Thank you for saying that.
I love chocolate milk. So I like I could just down chocolate milk. Like if I were to die, the two things I'd want to take with me is chocolate milk and French fries. And it was crazy because when my husband met me, he's just a super healthy, fit guy. And it was crazy because in college, like I would sit there and get Chick-fil-A kids meals like every single day. And he's like, how do you function as a high level athlete? How are you functioning on chicken nuggets and French
It's
fries?
not
And I
enough
was like, I
calories.
don't know. I don't know. Yeah. And so anyway, it's just kind of funny. We laugh about it all the time because, I still don't eat that great. I try my best, but it was crazy because when I went for the Olympics, I went gluten free. I stopped drinking soda because I was like, I'm gonna give this my all. I'm gonna give it everything I got because it was crazy because it made the biggest difference. It made my body less tired. I was able to like heal quicker and I had more energy. Like it was just crazy the biggest difference it made. So I was like, wow, I probably should have done this a long time ago, but it's
All
just
right.
too good. Too good.
MyKayla, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you and follow you?
Yeah, so we have a YouTube and it's under MyKayla Skinner. So come follow us on YouTube and just keeping up to date with our cute little family. And I'm on Instagram at MyKayla Skinner 2016.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, MyKayla. This has been fantastic. I can't wait to meet you in person someday. So thank you so much for joining and look forward to keeping in touch.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.